If I could go back to any moment in my life, I wouldn't choose the day I succeeded or the day I fell in love. No, I'd go back to the moment my father opened his arms and hugged me, like I'd never left at all. Have you ever wished you could return to one moment in your life, not to change anything, but just to feel again? A hug, a look, a simple sentence from someone you left behind. This is a story about a man who once thought he could shape his own destiny, until he lost everything, and in the end found the one thing that truly mattered when he had nothing left. When I was a kid, I hated repetition. I grew up in a tiny village tucked between rolling hills, where people knew each other's scars and stories by heart. I was the kid who always asked why, who always dreamed big, and who often rebelled. To me, my dad was a quiet man. Worked every single day under the sun, his back bending a little more with each passing year. Every morning he'd knock gently on my door and say, in his deep, calm voice, "Time to get up, son. Let's head to the fields." And every morning I'd groan, pull the blanket over my head and think, why can't he just leave me alone? Lunch was always his salty braised fish, not exactly my favorite. Dinner was eaten under the soft glow of an old oil lamp while he told war stories. Stories I never listened to all the way through. I never felt like I belonged there. I believed I was meant for something bigger, something different. And I was convinced nobody in that little village understood me. Then one summer night, when I was 17, after yet another argument, I stood in our yard and said, straight to his face, "I don't belong here. I was born to live a bigger life than this." He didn't argue. He just looked at me. Not sad, not angry, just quiet. But now I understand. That was the look of someone losing something precious, and knowing there was no way to hold on to it. 3 years later I came back, but not to apologize. I came back to ask for my share of the inheritance, cold, direct, like he owed me something. He didn't say a word. He just sighed, walked into the back room and came out with an old wooden box, the one he'd kept since my mother passed away. Inside, wrapped in rough cloth, was money. He handed it to me, no blaming, no crying, no begging me to stay. I turned and walked away. I didn't even look back. Back then, I felt like the star of my own movie, the rebel, breaking free to chase the life he deserved. The city greeted me with flashing lights, tall buildings, and people who smiled fast and forgot even faster. I rented a tiny apartment on the 10th floor with a balcony that looked out over the street. Every night, I'd stand there and think, I finally made it. I'm exactly where I belong. I spent money like it would never run out. Parties, designer clothes, expensive drinks, and friends who always laughed at my jokes and said I was cool, smart, going places. But none of them ever asked, "Are you okay?" And honestly, I never asked myself, where am I really going? Then the money started to disappear. The party invites dried up. My phone stopped ringing. I fell behind on rent. I felt hunger, not just in my stomach, but deep in my chest. I looked for a job. No degree, no real skills. My only experience, spending money. One by one, I got rejected. Until finally a farmer, an old countryman, hired me to work at his pig farm. The job I'd once looked down on was the only one left for me. I slept in a wooden shed surrounded by the stink of mud and manure. Dinner was dry bread and water. Some nights I was so hungry I snuck leftovers from the pig's trough. That's when I realized freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. Freedom is having something solid that keeps you standing every day. In the freezing nights, I'd think about my dad, how he used to knock on my door, the way that fish smelled, the flicker of our old kitchen lamp. I remembered his sighs when I got angry, and most of all, that look in his eyes the night I left. Every night I dreamed of him. In those dreams, I was a child again, leaning against him while he told stories, and I never wanted to wake up. One night, sitting outside the pigpen with the wind cutting through my torn jacket, I whispered, "If only I could go back. I'd work as a farmhand in my father's house and be happy. If only I could hear him call me son again." I gathered what little money I had left and walked, back to my village. Almost 3 days. I slept by the roadside, begged for bread, pushed past the pain and shame. With every step, I asked myself, what if he doesn't forgive me? What if he's forgotten me? But when I finally reached the edge of the village, something happened. There was someone standing at the gate, bent back, graying hair, frail. But those eyes, I knew them instantly. It was my father. He didn't just stand there. He ran, with a strength I didn't think an old man could have. Before I could even kneel, he wrapped me in his arms. No scolding, no anger, just his trembling voice. "You're back. I thought you were dead, but you're here. You're alive. That's all I need." I broke down. I thought I was numb, but my tears poured like a river breaking free, because that's what love does. It reaches deep and heals what you didn't know was still hurting. He brought me inside, gave me fresh clothes, and placed a ring on my finger, the one I had once thrown away when I rejected everything he gave me. Then he threw a feast to welcome me home. The whole village came. I sat there, no longer proud, no longer full of myself, just a man who had finally found something more valuable than success, love, and forgiveness. My older brother was angry. He stood outside, arms crossed, refusing to join the celebration. But my father took his hand and said, "Your brother was lost, and now he's found. He was gone, and now he's home. That means I can live again." From that day forward, I didn't dream of big cities anymore. I woke up early with my dad, learned how to tend the garden, fix the fence, light the stove. The small things I once called pointless became my lifeline. They became real. I know not everyone has a father like mine, and not everyone gets a second chance. But if you're out there right now, lost, tired, defeated, ashamed, don't be afraid to come home. Don't be afraid to bow your head, because real love always leaves the door open. And if you've listened this far, maybe it's because something in you is stirring. A whisper deep inside reminding you that you're still loved, that it's still possible to come back. Come home, in your own way. Someone is waiting for you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit subscribe. There are more stories like this, imperfect but true. Stories like ours.